Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 2019 SOMD Summer Games, our swimming pre-competition webinar. This is Zach Cintron from the SOMD staff, and we'll also have Neil Coffey, who is our swim venue lead, on the PowerPoint tonight. Tonight, we are going to walk through some of the maps, some of the scheduling for swim for summer games, some of the general summer games information, some transportation stuff to let you know, awards and staging, some reminders here and there, and then any other general updates that we can come across as we move through the slideshow here tonight. One that we want to hit here is our map for summer games in general. Map is pretty much the same as in past years. The only major changes that you'll see is Burdick, which is up towards the top of the map there. We are joined by Bocce this year. They will be on the turf fields out on Burdick Fields near us. And additionally with that, there was the bus that did not only the campus loop, but the Cockeysville trip for softball to be in the parking lot next due to the construction and the other construction that's happening near Burdick. It is now going to be at the University Union parking garage on the first floor there. The parking is best for swimming at Town University Boulevard parking garage, which is right across the street from Burdick. At the end of the day, that's your best option. And you can kind of scour the map for the other things that you need. You can find this in the event guide, which is now live on our website. So if you're looking for the event guide, you can find it there immediately, but it will also be pushed out to area director support, and coaches in the next day or so. Next slide here. So welcome back to the pool. Some information to share with you and the families. Free parking at the garage across from Burdick Hall, the Townsendtown Boulevard one on Saturday and Sunday. Friday is normal school operating hours for them still, summer classes and stuff. So the Friday parking is paid parking at the kiosk in the garage. It's $3 per hour, and it'll cap off at $12 maximum. So at a 4-hour limit, it caps off there. Stadium chairs. Camp chairs, we've usually let you bring those in the past. We are not allowing them in the gym this year. We've had some issues with the tarp that protects the floor getting beat up. So we will be bringing in our own chairs for everyone to sit in. We are bringing in close to 1,000 chairs into Burdick this year. So there should be plenty of seating for everyone in your delegation areas, as well as in other various parts of the building. Coolers and food are allowed in the gym area, but those of you that are going to be in the classroom spaces as part of your delegation, we're not allowed to have food in the classrooms. So if you are going to have lunch or a snack or something, we ask you to please eat those in the gymnasium in your delegations area. Again, athletes, as they dry off, we ask if they dry off on the tarped areas in the gym. Especially if you are in a classroom area, if we can keep those as dry as possible. We know not everybody will be perfectly dry, but for safety, and it'll be a little chilly in the classrooms with the air conditioner, so you don't want to get athletes sick either. Please dry off on the tarped areas. Do not write on the tarps. They're not our tarps. The big tarp that covers the floor there is Towson's tarp, and any damage that happens to it, we end up covering. So we want to protect that as much as possible, of course. Again, seating in the pool gallery, first come, first serve. The game plan that we try to pass along to everybody is please only plan to sit for your athlete's race or the race before, the race after, and head on out back into the gym. The gallery can get a little full, and we want to make sure that all families, spectators, coaches, everyone that wants to see their athlete swim has the opportunity to see their athlete swim. So be courteous to other spectators. Give them that opportunity to see their athletes swim as well. Quick note on this too, we are working on having a live stream available not only in both Gym 1 and Gym 2 where the delegations are, but it should be accessible from your general mobile devices as well. Cell phones, tablets, what have you. You should be able to access it from there as well. So that should be able to alleviate a little bit of the gallery crowding, we hope. There's no standing in the aisles of the gallery there. We don't want people standing there, not because we're trying to limit their opportunities to see their athletes, but it's a safety concern. We need to be able to get people in and out of the aisles for many reasons, and to keep clear for wheelchair lift and accessibility. Merchandise this year, where volunteers and merchandise have been in the main lobby of Burdick in the past, merchandise will be sold outside in the families tent on Tiger Plaza. So if go back one slide really quick, up top, Burdick, there's a circle to the right of Burdick, which is a grass patch, and that's where you will find merch in that circular grass patch right between bocce and the swim venue. Besides for lunch and the other meals that are served as part of summer games, vending machines will be available along with the smoothie bar that's in Burdick Hall. So there are some snack options for families, athletes, spectators, coaches as we move through the day. Neil, are you on the line with us to pick up here at the pool?
Yes, I am here.
Perfect. Can you talk about the flow of the athletes from staging all the way through the pool and to awards?
Sure. So what we're going to do, like we did last year, is we will have both pre-staging and staging in Gym 3. We'll separate those areas out by pipe and drape, moving the pre-staging as far to the back as we possibly can, just to kind of create a quiet space in the front of Gym 3 for staging and give the athletes the time to kind of focus on the upcoming event. We will not, unless Kevin at staging asks for assistance, we are not inviting coaches or family members into Gym 3 unless it's an extreme emergency, and only he will do that, make those requests. But from Gym 3, the athletes will walk across the hall. There's a small classroom that enters onto the pool deck, and the divisions will go to that classroom, and we will have on-deck staging that kind of loops around the area of the pool. The starting areas will be at the far end of the pool, opposite of where the athletes enter. For the 25s, the start will be at the area of the pool, at the side of the pool where they do enter the area, because we want all finishes to occur onto the touch path. Once the athletes finish, there's another door at the back corner diagonally across the pool area from where they entered the pool. There's a walkway there that the athletes will follow down the hallway and around and come into Gym 1 to be staged for awards.
Quick note on this slide as well while you're looking at it. Please take note of the coaches area there, not only for competition, but when on the next when Neil speaks a little bit about the main schedule, the non-detailed schedule, we have a pre-competition coaches meeting tentatively scheduled each day in there. I know that the Towson and the likes to come in, introduce themselves, and kind of give you a rundown based on, if there's thunder and lightning and those kind of things. So we will hold that meeting, and we will communicate that meeting to you, coaches area. Neil, do you want to talk about loosely the Friday, Saturday, Sunday schedule, the timeline here?
Sure. So, as Zach mentioned, we're going to leave on the calendar the pre-competition meeting. In the past, we haven't used them, and we all know that at 7:45 or the 15 minutes leading up to competition, everyone's busy and all over the place. We're going to leave them on the schedule in case there is an emergency, something we need to cover, in which case we'll communicate out that we are meeting So we just wanted to get those on there as placeholders. We will, as in the past, meet after competition on both Friday and Saturday. It gives us a chance to identify and address any issues for the subsequent competition schedule sessions. So please keep those in mind. Zach, one of the things that we will talk about is maybe we will set up a separate remind group for the swimming coaches. That way, if we do need to communicate something to the coaches only, we can do that easily. Like if we do need to have the meetings or if there's an issue we need to address, we'll have that audience able to be contacted.
We do that.
On to the next slide. On to the next slide is the order of events and the run order. One of the things that we're doing differently and new this year is and as everyone is fully aware, we're having competition. We're having one competition session on Friday afternoon, and that's done for a couple reasons, and we looked at a bunch of things. But one of the things that has happened over the past couple of years is, we're victims of our own success. And as our program has grown, the number of athletes coming to the summer games to compete in swimming has grown tremendously, to the point where we had trouble getting everyone through the gym areas last year. It just wasn't a safe and healthy situation for anyone. And, we're really fortunate that there wasn't an emergency situation, but had that happened, we would have been in a really tough spot. So, a lot of the planning that went into the event for this year is meant to address the overcrowding, not in the pool, but in the gym area. So, we've lengthened the schedule to add the Friday session to kind of spread some things out. We're utilizing the classrooms not only to provide some quiet space for people, but to provide additional seating. And we're trying to better organize the space in gym 1 and 2 where the delegations are seated, so that way people know the space they have, and we can fit in the people that we who need to be there. So that being said, we are having the session on Friday afternoon from 1 until 4:30. And if you look at that session, it's all of what we're calling the fundamental events. So it's the walk, not the walk, but the kickboard, the assist, the unassisted, the flotation, any of the 25 except for the 25 breast and the 25 fly. All of those events will be in that Friday afternoon session. One of the other things that we're doing differently for that session, and only that session, is we are allowing coaches to assist with the staging and escorting process. One of the things that we have found also in past is that the athletes who are participating in those events, we tend to get more requests for special assistance and special accommodations, and that's really difficult for us to address on the Saturday and Sunday given the numbers. But by moving those events to Friday afternoon, we can much better accommodate those special requests. So, the special staging and the special escorting accommodations will only be for the Friday afternoon session, and only for those events listed on the Friday afternoon session. Then for the remainder of the weekend, we have a Saturday morning session, Saturday afternoon session, Sunday morning session, and Sunday afternoon session. And what we tried to do there is we looked at the remaining events that we didn't have Friday afternoon, obviously, and we tried to break them out into about 3 hours of competition, meaning total swim time. That doesn't take into account the time between divisions, time for any problems on the pool deck. So we are aiming to follow those session times. We may finish early in them, which will be great. But the other part is that it allows us to hopefully better plan for lunch breaks, for the pool deck volunteers, for the athletes, etc. Now, the hard part of planning for lunch, obviously, you need to be aware that if an athlete is in an early event in the afternoon sessions, he or she needs to eat sooner so they can be there for staging, because staging will start prior to the event session. And then the other part is, if an athlete is in a division towards the end of the morning session, he or she may get delayed in award because those will continue until we're finished giving out all the awards for each session.
Thanks, Neil. So we're going to hit some of the master summer game schedule. Not going to necessarily read everything on these slides. They'll be available for you to look over after. We'll make them available on our coaches resource page. But I'm going to hit some highlights on here. Additionally, something I forgot to mention at the beginning of the webinar, again, if you have any questions, please input your questions into that section of the GoToWebinar system. Raise your hand, and we will get you more than likely towards the end. And from there, we will move on through this schedule. Thursday, June 6th, delegation registration, HOD meeting, just some pre-prep summer game stuff take care of before everyone gets there on Friday. Friday, along with summer games happening for us at swim, there's also competition happening at Towson Center for cheerleading. You see the note there for lunch for cheerleading. Lunch will not be served for swimming on Friday because we're starting later in the afternoon there. Please plan to eat lunch prior to arriving to the venue or pack a lunch. You're more than welcome to pack a lunch. There will be family hospitality on that Tiger Lawn outside of Berwick Hall, like I was saying. Dinner has been scheduled for 4 to 6, and we will make sure that shifts are taken care of. You'll get that information from your HOD. Block party occurs that night from 5 to 7, and that all leads into opening ceremonies at 7:30. And then everything kind of wraps up on 9 on Friday. Saturday is our first early start there. Breakfast rolls from 6 to 8, that pretty traditional time there. And then our competition kicks off at 8. Again, the run time is planned till 5. If things go well, maybe we get out early, things run a little late. Again, this is all tentative timing, but we want to give you an idea. We will have young athletes and healthy athletes will be making a return to summer games as well. There'll be a couple different options there if you have some downtime or if your athletes are looking for something else to do. Again, in the evening, we have some extra activities after dinner. Dinner occurs in Lot 20 on Saturday because the dance is that evening and it transitions directly into the dance. The dance theme this year is Kings and Queens, with Game of Thrones ending and that being so popular. That's kind of the theme that we went with this year. So prepare your athletes for Kings and Queens dance theme this year. And then Sunday is hopefully our short day there. Breakfast again runs from 6 to 8:15. Competition kicks off at 8, and like I said, and Neil said, 3 o'clock is our best guess at an out time. Things could run fast. Hopefully things don't run behind, and we get everybody out by that 3 o'clock mark. To hit some more summer games updates here, just a reminder that Friday dinner is served in the dining hall at the University Union there. Saturday dinner is the one that's served in Lot 20. Block party will be located in Lot 20 behind the CQ Arena for Friday, and Olympic Park will be in Lot 20 Saturday and Sunday during the day. Currently planned things for block party, Olympic Park, music by DJ, street entertainers, sports clinics, art activities, food vendors, merchandise, and so on. The usual things will be there for your entertainment and the athletes' entertainment. So if you get a chance, pop up there. Parade staging is going to start at 6:30 p.m. An update for everybody that may not have heard it yet, the parade is moving to a representative format, which means that each delegation will be represented by a handful of athletes and 1 or 2 coaches to kind of speed up the parade process. It's come back in past years that it's been a little slow for the parade of athletes, so we're testing this representative format this year. If you have questions on that, we will communicate to the HODs as we get closer and in the HOD meetings, the direct format of that and how they can how they're going to decide to pick who they want to pick, but communicate through your HOD with more info on the parade staging and opening ceremonies there. Inclement weather plan for the outdoor extra activities block party and parade staging. If there's bad weather, will be moved inside the Towson Center. A note on opening ceremonies for delegations, and this is mostly for HODs. Total number of delegation members at the opening ceremony needs to be reported to Mike Sarnowski by June 1st. Additionally, any number of wheelchair users in opening ceremonies, just so we know who we have to accommodate and potentially help out there. Going into some transportation notes, there has been some changes to transportation, hopefully not. We will be going to changes mostly around that University Union Burdick area. Like I said, they're doing construction on the University Union a little bit itself, and there's a whole new building that they're putting up between there and Burdick. So there's a lot going on in that area. First off, be careful with the construction. They have it very well contained, very well put together, but just use your usual sense of staying out of danger's way. Again, the University Union Garage is open on all levels as long as there's no changes from Towson's end, but we don't anticipate that. As well as the Towson Town Boulevard Garage, which is the best one for swimming. The shuttle bus for Barton, which is near the dorms, is west of the dorms. We've had some confusion of where it's located in the past, and west is considered walking away from Osler Drive. Bus stops for off-campus buses. The primary one there is the Cockeysville bus, and that one picks up now at the Union parking garage on the other side of the bocce fields. That's primarily for Cockeysville Middle School, but it also does a loop on campus. Again, the buses may be crowded at times. Please be patient. There will always be another bus coming, so you can catch the next one. Don't worry about getting and jamming yourself onto the first bus in front of you. Again, on campus you can stand. Off campus for Cockeysville, everybody has to sit. Safety, a little bit more distance. So remember, again, on campus you're allowed to stand. Off campus for Cockeysville, you got to sit. A route will only circle Auburn Drive. There's a loop during the day that will go through Auburn Drive and will not be going to the residence halls, and there will be a secondary bus that's doing a loop to the residence halls as well. So if you need to get over there during the day, that is an option. You will not be stuck to just your venue and the Towson General campus there. Next slide. Some notes for Friday transportation. Again, this is like the master schedule. I'm not going to read through every one of these. This will be available in a PDF format for you to download if you'd like, as well as the event guide has all this as well. There's a loop running from 8 to 1 that'll service parking lots 13 and 14, going to lot 21, Towson Center for cheerleading on Friday. And the loop will run from for parking lot 13, 14 through loop lot 21, Towson Center, and the housing facilities from 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Another important one for you is that a lot will go from, mostly for HODs for this one, a loop goes from lot 20, the CQ Arena there, where the festivities are kind of happening Friday night, to the housing facilities, and that'll take care of if you need to pick up keys and get those things kind of set up. And the drop-off prior to opening ceremony will be on Auburn Drive near lot 20, and that loop will happen throughout the day because of competition, especially for us, to get you over to the other side of campus there until 6 p.m. Because at that point, we're going to be trying to get everybody settled into the facility there for opening ceremonies. And again, pickup will happen after opening ceremonies in lot 20, and it'll be kind of group dismissals from the CQ Arena for going back to housing. A lot of similar things on Saturday. But the biggest update for Saturday is that there will be a shuttle loop starting at 6 to 7:30 a.m. servicing Barton to the Union parking garage there, so you can go get breakfast at the Union. It's not going to drop off right in that little parking lot like it used to, so I'd say there's probably maybe a 100-foot walk there from the drop off to the actual building for breakfast. So a little bit of a walk there just to be aware of. And then the shuttle loops will go from there. I will say, going through the shuttle transportation here for each day, it's much easier to go into the event guide and look in the event guide for the transportation section. There's a good chart that kind of shows you what times of the day on which days transportation runs from where to where. It's relatively hard to talk through specifically what the transportation is, but as somebody that's a visual learner myself, it's much easier to go through the event guide. And for Sunday, all the same things that are on the Saturday slide, the breakfast loop, and then the competition loops, the Cockeysville loop, the dormitory loops, they're all the same, just on a shorter time frame because we hopefully close up shop a little bit earlier on a Sunday. Some extra transportation notes. Again, if competition is delayed for any reason, the shuttle service will extend just because we're running a little bit later or events in the evening are running a little bit later. They're not going to strand you. There will be a shuttle for you to get where you need to get to. Towson shuttles all have wheelchair lifts, and the shuttles will run all 3 days for anybody that needs wheelchair access. For any sort of special on-campus needs, paratransportation, please call the number on the slide here, which is, again, also in the event guide, 20 minutes prior to the pickup time desired, and they can accommodate and help you out in any way that you may need. Parking pass for this year is required in one location. It's the loading dock at United Stadium. Primarily, this section is for staff and management with our control center doing loading of vehicles, unloading, all sorts of stuff like that. More than likely, you will not encounter time there. Maybe HODs may for popping in, popping out, and picking things up. But more than likely for coaches, you won't encounter the loading dock area at United Stadium. Again, notes from end of opening ceremony. The MC will call area county names. The first group of shuttle buses, delegation escorts will have the order of departure prior. 500 to 525 people per wave. And at the HOD meeting on June 6th, the HODs will get the final details on the process of dismissing from opening ceremonies and opening ceremonies in general. Again, those buses are going out of Lot 20 in front of the CQ Arena. All summer games delegations should be back to their dorm rooms within 3 bus trips based on the numbers. Music will be playing in Lot 20 until the final bus departs. No later than 9:30 is what we're guessing at this point. And delegations will remain seated in the opening ceremonies until called by the announcements for dismissal to load shuttles. Again, that's just so we don't overload shuttles and we don't have people standing outside aimlessly. We're going to try to get you out of opening ceremonies in an organized fashion to get to the buses in the most logical manner. A few other general summer games updates here pertaining to Olympic Park and the Victory Dance. Additional activities that are currently planned at Block Party and Olympic Park include sports clinics, art activities, movie nights in Olympic Park on Saturday. Based on the space, we're still looking at space there. There will be a dance demo. They will be doing it at Block Party / Olympic Park this year. Again, to reiterate, the dance theme is Kings and Queens. Good medieval outfit would be good. Maybe we can get somebody dressed as a dragon in there. And again, we want to highlight our Young Athletes program activity. They're having their open house at the Towson Center from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Saturday. Neil, do you want to pick up here with awards and staging?
Of course. So we already mentioned that the pre-staging and staging will be happening in Gym 3. We will be relying on the Remind app as much as we can, as much as the technology and bandwidth in the gyms allow us, to do the announcing of what divisions are being staged. In addition to that, Kevin in staging will do announcing, and we'll try our best to utilize the dry erase board to mark what is happening, what groups are being called. With that being said, once the call is made, we don't have the luxury of time to hold up a group because an athlete is not with the group. We need to keep things moving. So if an athlete isn't there at staging and isn't prepared and present to swim the event, then he or she will not participate with the group and unfortunately will miss that event. So we encourage everyone to pay as close attention as they can to what's going on. We'll do our best to communicate out what groups are being staged at what time. On to awards. The awards will happen in the front of Gym 1. As I mentioned, when the groups come out of the pool and walk down the hallway, they will enter in the pool, the Gym 1 at the front area. We will have stanchion to separate the main entryway into Gym 1 from that which we're using for the athletes. Our concern is just trying to have a good traffic flow without interruption. We know everyone is excited to see, their friends or their children or whoever, that they came to see. But please discourage the people from waiting at the entrance of Gym 1 to see the athletes. We need to get everyone in stage so we can continue with the awards flow as quickly as possible. Now, again, the awards, there may be some backup. That backup will happen just because we're waiting on the results from the pool area to be finalized and brought over to the awards area. But we will move through the presentation of awards as quickly as possible. We'll have two sets of award stands to help us facilitate that goal. If I can also mention one of the other items, kind of tangentially on we'll do our best to address the dry erase boards and those pieces. Those are all going to be contingent upon the availability of volunteers for the event. In past, sometimes some of the sessions we've had an abundance of volunteers and others we haven't. In the past, we've come to the area delegations and recruited individuals to assist with us, and we're happy for delegation members who want to volunteer to do so. That being said, if someone plans to volunteer for the session, we expect him or her to remain as a volunteer for the entire session. We don't want to see someone say, oh, I'm going to volunteer, put the T-shirt on, help my person, whether it's someone, a relation or a friend or someone you're coaching, and then disappear until that athlete swims the next time. That's something that has happened in the past, and it's not fair. It gives an advantage to some people that we're not looking to give, and we will ask that individual not only to return the volunteer shirt, but potentially to leave the venue because it has caused problems in the past. I mentioned the skills events and the difference in staging, the skills events on Friday afternoon. We did talk about that already. That's slide 22. The Remind app, we did use that last year. I thought that when it was running well, it did a good job of effectively communicating out to everyone where we are in the staging process. So if you can encourage the family members and the spectators in your group to sign up for the Remind app, that would be great. And as we mentioned earlier, we'll set up a separate group for the coaches. So if we do need to communicate anything special to coaches, we can use that Remind as an opportunity to do so without having to alert and bother the entire group. As far as next pieces go, one of the things that we spend a lot of time reviewing the registration materials and making revisions, not necessarily to the assigned divisions that come out of the games management system, but we will move groups around so that we can keep the pool as filled as possible. So if we have a particular event that has a division of 2 athletes, 3 athletes, and then another 3 athletes, We might swim those groups concurrently. That also enables us to get more athletes through our schedule that is pretty packed. Make sure that during the registration process into the GMS, you enter into the comment section any special accommodations that the athlete will need. Do you need the use of stairs or the lift, an outside or inside lane? If the athlete needs a one-on-one accommodation, please request it. We're not guaranteeing that will be given, but we will review, and if we find that the situation is appropriate and warrants it, we will address that on the volunteer side. If the comments are not present, we can't make the lane assignment, or we can't communicate anything to the officials or to the volunteers. So we need that information to be there. It's not fair that we show up on Saturday and someone says, oh, you didn't put such and such in this lane because, this is needed. We can't, at that point, make the changes that you're requesting because we have too many other things that we need to address to keep the event moving along. As far as outside lane goes, obviously there's only 2 of them. We will do our best to make those accommodations. I know sometimes we get requests for outside lane because of the proximity to the starting device and the ability to see the strobe or the hand start. In those cases, we might not assign the most outside lanes, but we'll get the athlete as close to the starting device as possible. Because it could be a situation where we have someone who, because of a physical need, requires that outside lane. So we'll do our best to make all those accommodations. The other piece is when the officials will, they'll go through their cadence, step up or step in. They'll go through the get ready to take your mark. They'll go through that cadence for every event. We are expecting that the athletes will know and follow this cadence. If the athlete cannot follow those instructions, we will give a 30-second wait time before we send the rest of the group off, and that athlete will be disqualified from that particular division. I know it sounds difficult to say, and it's not what we want to be about, but again, we have a very busy schedule with a lot of athletes we're trying to have share in the competition session. So please make sure that you communicate that out to your coaches, and your athletes are reminded of that. The quiet area. One of the things that we have heard in the past, and we definitely understand, is a need for a quiet space for the athletes to go to in between their events. Those will be in the classrooms, and if you look at the map on slide 25, you'll see where some of those classrooms are. You'll also see how we break out the gym 1 and 2 for that use. One of the things that Zach has touched on, and we need to make sure that everyone's very clear on, is we will be designating delegation areas within gyms 1 and 2. We will mark that out on the floor, based upon your delegation size of athletes, and we're going to do that for a few reasons. One, we're very concerned about the amount of space in that gym, and if we can designate those spaces out, we can keep it as safe as possible with space in between the delegation areas for the athlete to move, as well as for our volunteers and stagers to be able to get to the different delegation spaces as possible. On to slide 26. We've been doing this for a few years, and that's marking the athletes on their arms. Please take a look at this picture. It is incredibly helpful to mark the athlete name, the athlete bib number, and even the division, because then that way, if the athlete, he or she, is in staging, it makes it easier for the stagers or the escorts to know who they happen to be dealing with. We've had some instances where, the escort or the volunteer will say, "Oh, are you such and such?" And, you'll get 3 people responding, or you get someone responding incorrectly. So this really helps us in the staging and on the pool deck area. On to some reminders for the appropriate equipment. Make sure the appropriate swimsuit, goggles, swim cap, flip-flops if desired. We want to make sure that each delegation sends someone to Kevin in staging prior to the competition session. That way, if he has any questions or is looking for a particular athlete from your delegation, he knows who to contact. And again, we'll make every attempt we can to address any appropriate and requested accommodations. Zach, want me to continue, or do you want to cover any of this?
No, I can pick up here if you want.
Okay.
Give you a little bit of a break, too. You've had a good run on slides here. And just a note to everybody, I see some of the questions coming in. We're going to hold off till the end, and then we will run through and answer everyone's questions. It's easier just to get through the material because there's a chance that we cover everything that you may be asking, and if not, then we'll hit them at the end. Again, keeping up with the swim rules reminders here. Alternates, relay teams may register an alternate team members who may compete in the member team if the original member of the team is medically unable to do so. Alternates should have slower times for their leg of the event than the regular team member they're replacing, while alternates for medical reasons will be accepted up until the event is staged. If you can provide us as much notice ahead of time as possible, that just makes it easier for us, which then makes it easier on your team and your athletes. And again, a lot of people have already done this since the registration is closed, but placing all alternates in the default team, they can replace any team member in the specified registered event at that point. Only registered alternates may replace a team member. If an athlete wasn't registered as an alternate and isn't in our information as an alternate, we will not let them swap in to be an alternate the day of the event. So again, please make sure that they are a registered alternate before you go and try to swap them in for a relay team. Again, alternates must be activated prior to staging of that race. It's very hard to squeeze alternates in and make changes if that race is already in staging and moving through the process. To try to catch up is really tough. And just a note for unified relays, again, legs of the relay should alternate between athletes and partners. So when they're placed on opposite sides of the pool deck, there's also additional support for organizing those relays. That helps tremendously. Again, relay cards will be available. Just an example, one for you to see. Fill it in with your swimmers. Again, these help us and Neil's team drastically. As long as we have all the relay cards, we can move along pretty seamlessly because we have just another bit of information to help us stage, organize, and get the race underway. Some more general Summer Games updates, and I believe one of the questions Scott had pertains to this, which I'll touch on before we get out of the meal section here. All registered delegation members will be provided lunch on Saturday and Sunday. Friday, cheerleading gets lunch as well. All delegation members staying overnight on campus will be provided dinner and breakfast during the designated periods each day as well. Dinner for delegations will be provided on Saturday at Olympic Park, Lot 20 in the CQ lot before the dance. This will be a ticketed dinner, and the tickets will come through the HODs, and they'll come through the packets from registration that the HODs will get on June 6th. And just while we're in the meal section, Scott asked the question of if there'll be gluten-free and vegan meal options for Saturday's dinner cookout. I don't know about vegan. I know vegetarian and gluten-free we have at 99.9% of every one of our meals for every event. Vegan is something that when your HOD puts in the request for how many people will be dining at each meal for Summer Games and they put in their dietary request, if you have somebody that's specifically vegan, I would put it in that dietary request, and we will do our best to accommodate that. Like I said, gluten-free and vegetarian are covered 99.9% of the time there. Um, Control Center, HODs only in the Control Center, please. Again, it's kind of on the other side of campus for us, so it shouldn't be a big deal for swim. It's at United Stadium in the Minigan Room. Delegation registration, again, will be in the University Union on the Burdick side of campus on Thursday, June 6th from 2 to 6 p.m. The housing locations for this year are Douglas, Barton, Residence, and the Towson Apartments. No towers this year. They're doing renovations on towers, so we will not be in there. Again, only people registered in GMS as a member of the delegation will be housed. Jane will verify housing lists and GMS delegations. If you've gone to any other state games, Jane does a phenomenal job with that. So if you have any questions, Jane is by far the best person to ask about housing. Any delegation housing, any individual not on the official housing list, if you try to sneak someone in there under our nose and we happen to find out there, may be looked at to not be eligible for on-campus housing next year for summer games. Again, it's a safety thing. We want to make sure we know everyone in the dorms, coaches know everyone in the dorms, HODs know everybody in the dorms. So if something did arise overnight, our medical staff and the coaches, HODs in charge of that delegation, they know who is in there and who they need to take care of. A reminder for housing keys, they're returned at the front desk of your housing building when you're departing from summer games. And again, all delegations housing must be in that ratio of 3 to 1. Event guide, again, like I said, it'll be sent out electronically via email to HODs, coaches, chaperones, volunteers, area directors, area director support very soon. It's sent to the primary email address in GMS for each delegation area director and area director support list. And then, like I said, it's live on the Summer Games page right now. So if you go to the link that's provided, it's the first thing at the top of that page if you're interested in looking through it. Some medical notes again. Watch for overexposure issues and dehydration. Wear inside, so bugs repellent sunscreen shouldn't be a huge deal. But again, encourage your athletes to drink liquids throughout the day, even if they don't feel thirsty. I am the first one that I will say I am terrible about eating and drinking throughout the day. So even though we're in the pool, you know, a lot of the times athletes may think, well, I'm getting wet, I'm in the pool, I'm not thirsty. Have them keep drinking. The pool area can be warm at times. We don't know what the weather is going to be like. It may be a little hot and humid too. So if you're going in and out of the building, athletes are going in and out of the building, make sure everyone's consuming water since we're in the summertime there. Inclement weather plans are in the event guide. So if you're looking for more detailed and preparation on in case there's inclement weather, check the event guide. Again, we'll review that at the HOD meeting on site for the HODs so they have a better idea and they can pass that along to you as well. Only Towson University staff, SOMD staff, or the GMT will decide to activate the inclement weather plan. And it may vary venue by venue, especially with the pool lightning strikes. Towson's pool, from what I understand, isn't, I guess the technical term would be the grounding of it. So they're very careful about the lightning strikes. And most of the time, the way they play it now, just so everybody knows ahead of time, their staff will mention this on site as well. They don't do that game where they say, okay, 30 minutes after the first lightning strike, we'll start again. Because if they have another lightning strike 29 minutes and 59 seconds to do it, and it strikes again, they just keep piling 30 minutes on top of it. They don't really do that anymore. They like to play the long game and say, all right, first lightning strike, our weather system says the storm will be out of the area in an hour and 15 minutes. They set that hour and 15 minutes, and if it's out earlier than that, they let you go instead of playing that 30-30-30 game. So just to give everybody a heads up, that's kind of how the lightning strike plan works for Towson now. The pop-up tents are not an issue for us. We'll be inside, but if you're part of a delegation and SOMD or Towson ask you to take it down temporary due to wind, weather, or other factors, again, please pass it along to do what you need to do because it's for the safety of everybody involved. So now we're at the questions. I'm going to work through the questions here. Neil, I'll read them just so you know what they are as well. and hopefully we can get some of these answered. Again, if we're going through and you have something you want to add to your question or another question, you can keep adding to our questions list here, or you can raise your hand and I will unmute you now that we are at the end of the slide deck here. We hit Scott's question. Margaret asks, on the parent webinar, we said no bags bigger than a purse were allowed in the opening ceremonies for coaches. That may be difficult because have to carry all the medical forms, credentials, so on and so forth. I believe as long as it is not a gigantic backpack, you will be fine. If you go to the CQ Arena's website, they have the parameters on the bag. The bag size, from what I measured out, fits a normal sized backpack as well. I believe they will do the typical event venue check through the bag. But other than that, Margaret, I believe we will be good for logically sized backpacks for opening ceremonies. If it's a gigantic bag, they may say no to that. So just plan to potentially bring a bag that fits exactly what you need and nothing more, nothing less potentially. Anna asks, is dinner in the dining hall for Friday? Yes. The Friday dinner is in the Union Dining Hall. There will be 2 shifts. And there was also a question that I saw from Carol about will there be enough time on Friday to get those athletes competing to dinner. There will be plenty of time. More than likely, the swimming competing athletes will be in that second group. And if there is a chance that they sit for dinner and it runs till 6:15, they're sitting for dinner, I don't believe that Towson is going to strictly get up and toss everybody directly at 6 o'clock. Again, they don't want people lingering for forever, but they won't push you out the second it hits 6 o'clock. Estimated time on opening ceremonies. The prior estimate before the representative format was 2.5 hours. We're hoping the representative format gets us down closer to an hour and 15, an hour and a half, worst case scenario, 2 hours. That is the estimate at the moment for opening ceremonies. From Margie, just a reminder, and this is a very good point, a reminder to all the volunteers and coaches that the waiting at staging can go up to 40 to 50 minutes, depending on how staging's running at that point. So remind your athlete to get to the bathroom before they are about to be staged. Bathroom's definitely the best opportunity prior to staging. If there's an emergency, we can get an athlete to the restroom, but once we get people rolling through staging, Neil, I think you could probably ditto that we want to try to keep them in there as much as possible.
That's correct.
Let's see. When trying to get into the pool in a timely manner, can we count on the volunteer to tell the athlete in the water? Margie, I'm going to open up your phone because I'm not 100% sure what you are asking on that question, and I don't want to pass on it. I just need to find you in our list here. There you are. Hi, Margie. Yep, you're good.
I want to know if the volunteers are okay to say, get in the water, instead of us screaming from the top of the deck, get in the water, get in the water. Or sometimes they stand on where they're standing to dive and they don't dive. And we try to get them, we're screaming from wherever we're at to say, get in the water, you don't dive. And some of them are not because they're special. They see everybody standing, getting up to dive, and they don't realize, I don't do that. I get in the water. So is it a possibility that we can always remind the volunteer to just tell them to get in the water?
Margie, as part of the starting process, we can have that happen, but we are not going to instruct volunteers to tell someone to dive once the event had started. That's not fair, and that's not what we'll do. But
yeah, I understand that.
we can definitely remind the volunteers that to let them know when it's okay to get in the water.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know, is that if they were able to say it.
Thanks, Margie. Another question from Scott here. For relay, my athletes have difficulty getting out of the water in a timely manner. They need to use the ladder. Is it okay for them to stay in the water and move to the one corner and along the lane line? They know not to interfere while the swimmer's competing. Neil, do you want to answer that one?
If the athlete needs to get to the ladder or the stairs, he or she would need to wait until the event is over. We don't encourage anyone, even though you're not going to interfere. I mean, we don't encourage that.
Perfect.
Because there's too much possibility for an error to happen.
Question from Robin. Are there specific areas in the pool for the portable ladder? I have an athlete that has difficulty getting out of the pool. I believe that's 100% yes. I know we have the portable ladder and we can use it. Neil, do you want to get specific on that, the portable ladder?
Sure. The portable ladder will be placed in the more shallow end of the pool below the scoreboard. That would be something that we would need to know that the athlete is using, because again, it takes time to get the ladder, the stairs into and out of the pool. So we keep that lane clear for a couple divisions to give us time to get it in and out of the water. So that's where it would be.
Perfect. It looks like we've hit all the written questions. Scott, I'm going to open up your line. You have your hand up. I don't know if that's from something else.
No, I just thank you. I just wanted to kind of, my question about staying in the lane and everything else. We practiced that. They understand what they need to do. I just, was confirming that wasn't against the rules, because there was some confusion at the qualifier on Sunday where the volunteers were actually telling the swimmers to go ahead and go to the ladder. And the ladder was in the middle, between lanes 3 and 4, and we were in 3, and they were just moving people. But I told them, I explained to them afterwards, hey, at summer games, you won't be able to do that. You're going to have to wait till the end of the race.
Well, and Scott, and that's a good point. And there may be some situations where, if the athletes in the first couple lanes are done and they're able to exit the pool without having to cross over someone who's swimming, then absolutely we'll have the volunteers instruct the athletes that they can get out of the water. But if there's someone who is still swimming in a lane in between where the athlete is and needs to get to exit the pool, we'll have him or her wait.
Okay, what we'll do is we'll just instruct the athletes to listen to the volunteers, and they will give them direction when they can move out of the lane to get out of the water.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. And then the other hand up that I saw was Carol. So Carol, I'm opening up your line. So if you want to unmute, you can. Nothing from Carol? Okay. Going to move on to Anna, who has her hand up.
Hi, yes. Are we still able to add comments in GMS, or is it too late for that?
I believe at this point, if you didn't end up getting a comment in that you need to put in for GMS, that I believe the programs are closed out at this point. If you have a comment that you do need to add still, Anna, or this goes for anybody, my email is up on the screen. Please email me your comment, and I will put that in for you for sure.
Thank you.
I do not see any other new hands. I do not believe any other new questions have popped up. Neil, is there anything else you would like to add before we close up here?
No, I think I'm good for tonight. Thank you all.
again, I want to take the time to thank you guys all, not just for your preparation for summer games, but for the spring season as a whole. Without you guys as coaches and without the area directors and all your volunteers and all your unified partners that come out, without you guys, this doesn't happen, and we don't provide the opportunities that we provide for all of our athletes. The experiences that our athletes get don't happen without you guys. So I cannot thank you guys enough for the time and efforts that you put in. You always blow my mind with all the things that you come up with and the opportunities that you create, and you always go above and beyond. So again, I want to thank all of you coaches, HOD members, and everybody that's part of all the delegations for all you do every year. And we're excited to have you all at Summer Games. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Other than that, have a wonderful night, and we will see you all at Summer Games.